NMIMS. We're here for an Industry Connect session, which is on the theme of building future-ready organizations and the role of tech-savvy managers in it. I'm joined by an illustrious panel to my left and to my right. Starting with my left here, extreme left, we have Dr. Rajesh Save. He's an industry expert, co-founder of Impecker Consulting. To his right is Mr. Shrikant Chincholikar. He is Director of Global ISV at Microsoft. After that, we have Dr. Abhishek Sinha. He is, of course, a faculty here at NMIMS. He teaches strategy for the MBA Tech program. To his right, we have Anushri Zile. She is president at Associate Vice President and also an alumni of batch of 2019 at WPB Business Management. She's also done a course on strategic cost management from HSBC. To her right, we have Dr. Geeta Iyer, also faculty here, head of tech management department and faculty of finance for MBA Tech. Thank you so much, ma'am. To my right, we have Bhairav Desai. He is alumni batch 2016, vice president at Knight Frank India. Thanks so much, Mr. Desai, for joining us. And lastly, I think I misintroduced you there, sir. To the extreme right is Mr. Shrikant Chincholikar, industry expert and director partner development as well as global ISV at Microsoft. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. Again, the theme today here, ladies and gentlemen, is building future-ready organizations and the role of tech-savvy managers in it, right? All of you come from a very diverse set of experiences. We have a couple of alumni here, we have a couple of industry experts, and a couple of faculty members here to bring in, and all of you much more educated, much more smarter than I will ever be. So please feel free to hawk the mic as much as possible and stop me from rambling. I'd like to start with Dr. Save first. Dr. Save, in a world that we're seeing with a lot of tech sort of gripping almost every domain that we're seeing, right? What are the new competencies that you are seeing organizations that are hiring future managers? What sort of competencies are organizations now looking for?
Well, I think very relevant, Rishabh, and having done human resources for about 20 years of my professional life, hiring competencies is one of the most important issues, because they always say that, hire the attitude and train the skill, right? So that's a very important question. And all of us are suffering because of, number one, tech literacy. I think that's something which is extremely important. And people generally get confused when I say tech literacy. What does it mean? Tech literacy doesn't mean coding, because coding is just a skill, just a tool that you have. So most of the guys, I think everyone in the organization should be tech literate. What I mean by that is the application of tech in your respective domain is very relevant. So do you have that or not? That's going to be very important. The second thing comes to my mind is, as we talk of tech literacy, I think, Airbnb does excellent storyboarding, terrific. So that what next follows is, storyboarding, or you can call it storytelling, whatever. Because to convert the entire cracks which is coming out of the different algorithms, you need to kind of board a nice story out of that. Otherwise, it doesn't matter. It doesn't mean. Which means that you should have ability to understand it so simple, which is essentially very complex. So make the things very simple from complex solutions. That matters the most. Very important. So one is tech literacy. The other is the ability to storyboard. I think one very important thing before, which is like, you have essential competencies and you have desirable competencies. So one of the most essential competency is ethics. With the advent of artificial intelligence and machine learning and all this kind of stuff, I think all of us are questioning about bias and the use of AI. So I think ethics is non-negotiable. So you should not even question that. I think that is a very important thing that you need to have. The ability to use, apply, because people keep on kind of spitting words after the other. Tech, actually, I think one of the worst things that have happened after tech has come is jargons. And we keep on kind of showering jargons all over the place. I think somewhere we need to understand that what is the application value of these jargons rather than just talking about jargons. So that application of tech is another very important competencies. I think we'll discuss it over next few questions as well. But I think there are few competencies that we should consider as very important competencies. Having said that, ethics is the most important thing that we need to have.
Right. Dr. Sinha, I'd like for you to come in on that. Dr. Sabe spoke about jargons, right? You are someone who's supposed to break down these jargons for all these students here at NMIMS, including Dr. Iyer here as well. What is your take on all of this, right? On breaking down jargons, on making everything a little more approachable, right?
So, as Dr. Rajesh just mentioned about tech literacy, one of the aspects where leadership gets afraid of learning about tech is about the jargons. And on the other hand, there has to be tech literacy at the top. I would take it a bit further. Unlike before, when the leadership could just have a little bit knowledge of technology, I would suggest that right now the leadership needs to be digitally fluent. And because of that, I would suggest that they need to understand the tech in all its simplicity instead of just the jargons. And moreover, there's a need to be proactive about the digital world, the kind of transformation that is happening. And for this proactivity to be there, it's very, very important that the leadership understands how the world of strategy is evolving, how it is closely connected with tech.
Right. Ms. Zile, I would like you to come in on that. You're someone who's out there, who's now an AVP, an alumni of this very institute. You are a finance manager yourself. How are you seeing tech impacting your roles, right? How are your colleagues facing this? How are your peers facing it?
Thank you for the question, Rishabh. So, in a setup like in a bank, we see day in, day out processes which are mandatory, which are essential, right? And for them to be processed faster, more accurately, obviously we need technology, right? Gone are the days when finance was just reporting or just, numbers. It's more to that. Now it's more of driving strategy, making decision based on the data, right? So with tech, obviously, we have reduction in repetition of tasks, right? We have more accurate data, we have deeper insights, which help us as a firm, right, to make decisions which align with our strategic and financial goals of the firm, right? So I think tech, with parallel to that, tech also helps us in mitigating the risks which could come. Like, in a bank or in a financial setup, there are a lot of penalties, there are a lot of fraud cases which happen, right, in bank. I'm sure all of us get credit card calls all day in, day out, right? So it's a part of that fraud chain which is happening. So to mitigate that, I understand that involvement of technology is super important. And again, with that comes the willingness of people like us to be relevant, to be upskilled, with the fast-pacing technology which is around us, right? So it's critical for managers to be tech savvy, but also to be at the same time being willing to learn everything. So yeah.
Right. Right. Thank you. Thank you so much, Ms. Zile. I'd now want to jump to Mr. Chincholikar. So you're someone, you work at Microsoft. I think you're the most tech adept person on this panel right now. Just give us a basic basic lowdown on what it is that non-tech savvy managers today have to acquire to sort of stay relevant in today's day and age. What is the basics that one should absolutely must pick up?
Well, thank you for the question. Look, I think firstly, we'll all have to acknowledge, this whole wave of new tech, which is AI and machine learning, is moving at a much faster pace than the previous wave, which was cloud, When cloud came in about 15 years back, the usual time span for organizations to adopt clouds was anything between 1 year to 5 years to 10 years also. So, and because cloud was taken with its own pinch of salt. But today AI is like it's already in the mainstream. People want to adopt AI, want to bring in AI on every aspect of business, every process in the organization. You already mentioned that, Anushri. Yeah. So it is absolutely imperative, no matter what role you go to play in the organization, what manager you are, what function you're going to run in. A few very basic tech or non-tech manager today is number one is you will have to understand the basics of cloud. Okay, you just cannot see different functions you don't understand. So when I say cloud, it means a level 2 detail, which is essentially what does PaaS mean? What is platform as a service? What is infrastructure as a service? Or what is SaaS as a service? What kind of agility is it going to bring to the organization? What kind of edge you're going to get as an organization if you're going to move your workloads onto the cloud? So that's an aspect that every manager should understand. Plus, you also need to understand the pricing strategies, because the cloud has also brought in a lot of complexity in terms of pricing, because every organization is kind of bound with certain budgets and so on. So you need to understand that aspect. So that's point number one. Point number two is obviously data and AI. We are all moving to an age wherein we are all driving towards real-time data, and you're getting into in-depth analysis, and you're looking at AI-based analysis for data on whatever firm and whatever aspect of function you are in. So understanding basics of AI, how does it work? How does a machine learning work? And you don't have to, ideally you should learn a little bit of coding, but if not, at least you need to understand how an AI needs to be adopted. So that's point two. The third thing is also an understanding of cybersecurity. I mean, no amount of what aspect of organization, if you're not aware of what really does it really mean for an organization to adopt a specific technology or work with a specific vendor from a security standpoint, then I think that's kind of going to create a challenge for an individual in his career. And last but not the least, I think Dr. Saab has already mentioned about ethics. So ethics, how do you get how you're compliant to various compliance and regulations, like possibly GDPR or HIPAA or something like that. So you need to have basic understanding of how compliance is going to be brought in. So I think these are 4 or 5 areas. Very importantly, any manager, irrespective of the role you play in an organization, you need to be knowledgeable.
So I have a call there, Shikha, just to build on what you said. And I'd like to quote the legendary CMD of Tata Steel, Mr. Rusi Modi. They were like out and out brick and mortar. I'm talking about something which he said in 1987, 88, I guess. And this was the convocation ceremony of IIT Delhi. And his statements are so relevant today. He said that, I have a pleasure in delivering this convocation address in one of the best technical institutes in India. And it's really nice. But what I do is when you guys come and join Tata Steel, I unlearn, I make you unlearn, and then you learn in Tata Steel and of course, by the way, he said second best, and the best is of course Tata Steel according to him. Forget that. More important is all the tech skills which you have rightly said, very important. I spoke about it, Abhishek spoke about it as well. But what is more important is like organizational culture, for example. So most of the technical institutes have nothing against a BE or a BTech degrees as such, but the kind of inputs that generally you get are highly technical in nature, and you need to have inputs which are more to do with organizational functioning. And I think those are the ones which somewhere are very important for all this. And I'm sure both of you, both the alums, Bhairav and Anushri, both of you possibly would agree with me that the kind of inputs that you generally get in program like this, for example, and there are many others as well abroad, I think that helps a lot in terms of nurturing a right kind of manager, quote unquote, who is a tech enabled. So I thought I'll just build on what you've said, and very important, of course, you need to have a complete manager and not just a tech manager. We said he's been talking about tech savvy, right? So that's very important. Sorry to interject, but I thought I'll just kind of tempted.
Audio? Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. Great points there, Dr. Save. And feel free to interject whenever any panelist feels like you have something to add to. But I think, Dr. Raya, this is a great point for you to also join the conversation and just talk about how you are seeing the roles and the roles that you are teaching for, how are those roles transforming, right? With a lot of tech adoption coming in, how are things changing here at NM also?
So actually most of the points my co-panelists have already covered. So finance roles have been evolving over a period of time, and it's more dynamically changing, as Shrikant Chincholkar sir has told just now. The mundane roles are actually taken care by technology. People who are being hired in finance roles are more towards strategic decision making and real-time data decision making. So what they need is quick adoption of technology so that they are able to take decisions based on the real-time data. So adaptability to agile systems and new business models, I think that's the order of the day. So I think that's the skill that we at Mukesh Patel and at MBA Tech program, that's what we are kind of training the students to quickly adopt and adapt to situations, and also the business models that are coming up, because technology is changing very fast. However, what Dr. Save said just now, that's so relevant, that only understanding technology doesn't help, but integrating technology with business domains, that's so important, because you need to leverage technology so that you get better financial insights. For example, if you're in the finance industry, you need to leverage technology for better marketing and be more customer-centric if you are in a marketing domain. So you need to adopt technology based on what domain area you're in. And therefore, understanding technology as well as the business functional areas is very, very relevant. And that's what we are kind of training the students so that they become more relevant in their roles. Yeah, thank you.
Perfect. I think good point for Bhairav Desai, Mr. Desai, to also come in. You've had a great career, Bhairav. You've risen from being a management trainee now to the VP position at Knight Frank India, and now we've spoken about finance. I think it's time we spoke about a domain that hasn't seen a lot of tech adoption. I think it's safe to say, but I think with you being there and others like you who've done sort of a technical MBA as well, that would also help with that. So talk to us about how tech and data-driven decisions are sort of changing the way real estate business is done in India.
So thank you for that question. I think it's a very multi-layered question, but any decision, any business decision will always have multifaceted dimensions to it that govern it. And use of data to back those decisions up is nothing new. So it's no longer a core competence when I say, hey, I'm using data to back my decisions, or I'm helping you make an informed choice by supporting you with your data analytics. I think that's a given. What we have evolved over the few years is the industry, if you notice, it's getting organized. It's still, if you look at an industry S-curve, India is just about getting started. And the next 10, 15, 20 years ahead look very, very exciting. It's possibly the best commercial real estate market in the world. It's organized. It's you've got access to a lot of data. The business of ours, which is professional services, actually thrives on data, because we advise companies on whether to lease, whether to let out, whether to buy, be it corporate giants like Microsoft, Google, or be it funds like Blackstone who want to come in with big portfolio-sized investments. So how it breaks down into their strategies depends on whether it's on the demand side to acquire or whether to let out. But starting with, as Savesa said, tech literacy helps in a great way. So what we've been able to do is we've been able to crawl and sort of systemize the data, be it simply put the transactions data, just collating whatever leases have happened all across India in the past 20 years, then seeing what trends emerge out of it. On the other side, because unlike equity markets, there's not a lot of secondary data that you have. So you have to mine that data. So we then go about stacking every building, office building, retail stores. What's the size, who's the owner, what's the square footage? Once you've got that consolidated, then now we're using AI to overlay that to pick up trends, to overlay that with historically what have been the major macroeconomic events and how has the demand shifted. Because when it boils down to real estate, whether it's residential or commercial, your capital values or your rental are a function of just two things, demand and supply. So if I'm able to then prompt my AI engine with what the demand drivers are, what the situation stands today, I already know what's happening to the supply over the next 2, 3, 4 years, then I can get a better handle on how the markets is going to shape up. And then that helps us guide or firstly acquire business and then support the client that we've acquired in terms of a more informed decision making.
Thanks, Mr. Desai, for that. I'd like to turn to Dr. Sinha now. So, talk to us a bit more about, right, everyone talks about how various departments operate in silos, right, within companies. Now, we're also seeing now cross-disciplinary sort of teams come in, and with tech being the sort of the common baseline between all the teams, right? Talk to us about that.
So when you see companies, normally what used to happen is that you had a bureaucracy which was one of the most efficient creations of the capitalist world. Now the bureaucracy has lasted about 100 years and more, and it has served the industrial world pretty well. But when you see the kind of change that is happening in the industry right now, it's very different. The industry is more Schumpeterian in nature. Dr. Geeta here just mentioned about business model changes. So there's a change in the kind of business models that are happening, and the organization needs to change along with that. When I say the industry is becoming more and more Schumpeterian, it means that the industry is more driven by new products, new processes, new ways of organizing business, and new sources of supply. This is how Schumpeter defined innovation. So the innovation aspect is increasing more than the aspect of just efficiency or optimization. What differentiates one company from another is innovation. Now for that, if departments work in silos, as you mentioned, things won't go ahead. And that is why companies like Spotify imbibe the value of agility. And they have shelved the thinking of a bureaucratic kind of an organization and instead say that their organization should be agile. Now, what does an agile organization mean? For Spotify, they have transitioned a normal kind of hierarchy to a hierarchy which is kind of squads, which has got self-organizing members. And then you have got tribes, which keep on coordinating with each other. So then there are chapters for things that you normally don't work on, but you want to be a part of, you want to learn something new. So then there are chapters for that. So the entire organization is organized in a different manner than the normal bureaucracy that you had in typical industrial company or even in software companies. So this kind of changes need to
Pointed out a few basics that certain now managers should imbibe, right? Tech basics. Are you, as an HR industry expert, are you seeing an active change in what leadership is now looking for when they go out for hiring? Are you seeing an active change with respect to what they are looking for in candidates?
Oh, yeah, certainly. I mean, there's a huge, it's a tectonic shift. Forget change. I think 5, 6, 7 years ago, specifically after COVID, things have changed radically different. I'll just give you an example. For instance, cross-pollination. Recommendation engine of, say, Spotify or something like that, you should be able to cross-pollinate his or her domain to human resources. And that's where I think the new age competencies will come into picture, that how quickly I can assimilate and understand and comprehend the new domain so that I'm an expert in Reco engine for sure, because I've done it for Spotify, I can do it for someone else as well. But I think the real crux lies in how fast I learn the new domain and the new domain and the new domain. I think that is what is most important thing that people are looking for at this point in time. We learn a number of case studies. Netflix, Airbnb, Spotify, Amazon, immensely popular. Okay, I mean, they have done it a number of times. What is more important is now we need managers who can create at least 100 such Netflix engines, 100 such Amazon engines. For instance, as last example I'll give, and then we can kind of go to the next question as well. There's a company which is into a B2B kind of business. I don't want to name the company at this point in time, but it's an Indian company. I'm not going to give any esoteric examples from US and Europe and stuff like that. Brass tacks. They wanted to understand what is the probability. They're into B2B with the government, so they have lots of projects that they do for government. They wanted to understand what is the probability that when I file the tender, that I'm going to win. Okay, a particular aspect of that particular tender carries about 70% of the cost. Okay, so and these are students who did it, by the way. What students did is they again backward integration. They went back to that particular product needs what kind of raw material. They went back to basic economics, went to CMI data and understood. They use regression to predict the cost of this particular product, and then classification to understand the probability. Right now, who did all this? Students did all this, who understood the domain very well, who understood the technology very well, and finance and economics. Because later on some point in time, you have to understand the return on capital employed and the return on assets and all that kind of stuff, right? Value at risk, again, same thing. So ultimately, tech is just enablement. What you need to understand is the entire ecosystem very well. I think that is the tech manager that you talk about, which is what companies are looking for at this point in time in most of the management institution or wherever they go for a selection. I mean, I hope I answer your question, but I thought I would give examples, and then that's my
You do very well. Thank you so much for that. I'd like to go to Ms. Zille now, Anusha, I'd like for you to talk about you're freshest out of college, out of everyone on this panel. What is the advice that you would give to fresh graduates, right? Fresh MBA tech graduates, with respect to what they should be now doing to get the best jobs out there, to get the best roles out there.
Okay, with Geeta ma'am sitting next to me, my first point is get your fundamentals right. I mean, no matter how advanced technology gets, no matter how advanced AI gets, data gets, but I think as a candidate in the industry, your fundamentals should be clear. Your finance fundamentals, your market fundamentals, you should be updated with what's happening in the market, right? You can't just go one fine day and give an interview. You need to be prepared. So, and as a fresh graduate, I would suggest that ask questions, like, build your network. Managers do not shy away from answering your questions. They might be unapproachable, but no one will ever say no to you, right? You need to ask the right questions. If you know, you need to get out of your way, out of your role to achieve an extra mile. That's when you learn, right? That's when you grow even more. That's where you stand out from your other batchmates, right? You need to stay agile. You need to build your network. Nowadays, we have free podcasts. We have free content everywhere. So grasp as much as good content you can take in for upskill yourself. So yeah, that would be my advice.
Perfect. Thanks so much, Ms. Dile. I'd like to jump to Mr. Chincholikar again now. Sir, talk to us about a lot of young managers will be joining the workforce very, very soon, right? You will be someone who would be looking to hire them. And you also spoke about the basics, right? I want you to talk about, because this, by the time, let's say you go higher in the next 6 months, stuff will change again, right? There will be another basic that you'll have to grab onto. How do you constantly ride that wave, right? You are someone who has ridden that wave, which is why I think you're the right person to answer that. How do you constantly ride this wave that evolves every 6 months, right? How do you do that?
Look, I think Anushri has also pointed a few points out of this. It's very important that irrespective of when you're joining the organization or which organization you work, mastering the principles is the fundamental. Okay, and especially in the age of AI, everybody wants to learn tools and all. Tools will come, tools will go, tools keep changing, but the principles have to be understood. And when I'm talking from the technology standpoint, I mean is you need to understand the principles of AI. You need to understand the principles of machine learning. Those principles will remain forever. Tools and no doubt you will have to learn tools, but I think that's very important. The second part is you will have to put yourself into a constant loop of learning and constant loop of putting yourself into a cadence of, where are you in terms of learning curve and how are you faring yourself in terms of learning. So the constant learning curve is never going to go away. So that loop has to continue. So that's point number 2. Point number 3, again, from a tech standpoint, if you're talking of adopting AI, it's important that you adopt AI at the first go. You try to automate your processes. You try to see what can you do with AI for yourself first. That's very, very critical and important. Unless you do it yourself, unless you find the real value of tech, you'll never be able to deliver value back to your organization or back to your customers outside the organization. The fourth very important aspect is you'll have to really focus on the outcomes. So, usually it's very easy to get carried away with tech, that, let's adopt it and let's find out what can be done and so on. But focusing on outcome is an absolutely essential element that people who really want to be successful with the changing technology have to stick to, and will have to keep themselves always abreast of what really is the outcome that we're going to look at. So I think those are 3 or 4 areas that every individual, any new manager should really focus and really look forward to keep himself imbibed on those basics.
Great, that's a great answer. Thanks, Mr. Chincholika, for that. I'd come to you, Mr. Desai now. I asked the alumni advice question to Ms. Zille, so I want to give you that chance as well. Plus, also talk to me about some skills that you wished you had learned during your MBA tech days and skills that are critical today, right? And stuff that you wish you had better access to at that point in time.
So I think firstly, MBA Tech is a great platform. One of the reasons why I was drawn to it was it first opens up your areas of domain. I mean, the areas of domains that you potentially study, not just from a technical field, to also potentially business, and then evolves into psychology, organizational behavior, and so on and so forth. So it really widens your lens. Then once you've taken a step back, you can pick and choose. All right, now with A, B, C, D arrows in my quiver, where do I want to specialize? And then it gives you that agility to pivot if required. And also, like Sabe sir mentioned, it gives you a broader perspective to evaluate things from. If I'm starting out, I'd not, of course, there are certain skills which go without saying. And as sir rightly mentioned, tools come, tools go. Skills come in handy, then, as long as one has the intent, curiosity, and the ability to put in the extra hours, or potentially not say no to anything new in terms of a different exposure, that pays you back in a compounded way many, many years later. And of course, it goes without saying, basics of email etiquette, basics of grooming, body language, communication, because all my data, all my analysis is futile if I'm not able to articulate it well. Further to what sir said, when it comes to tech, it's one of the things that it's like wanting to have a fancy car. Does everyone want a fancy car? The answer is yes. Does everyone want to work the hard mile to get it? The answer is no. So it starts with yourself. How many of us have sparred with ChatGPT? Just brainstormed over different things, what's happening, and tried to simulate. It even tells you how it'll give you your psychoanalytic profile. It'll tell you what's happening in the world. Sparring is a term that they use in boxing. You spar with it. So it starts with that, because once you've understood the value prop, only can then you communicate the result, its implication, and why it's meaningful for the larger organization to adopt it. Coming to what skills I would have, or what things I would have loved to learn, I didn't know back then, but now definitely going back, I would have loved to pay more attention to organizational behavior. I would have loved to learn decision-making psychology, consumer behavior in a lot more detail. Softer skills, we've always taken those for granted. Numbers may, change your decision in the mind, but it's stories that make the deals move. So how you connect with people, how you break the rapport, how you showcase your integrity, these are things which go beyond ethics, as sir mentioned. It's very, very crucial.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Desai, for that. I'll ask one question to you, Dr. Iyer, and then we can wrap up. I'm told we can wrap up by 1. So just one last question on, you are someone who has naspe haat is what they call it in Hindi, on the way finance roles are evolving, right, with respect to AI, with respect to blockchain, automation, right? Someone also on the panel said that middle management roles are sort of getting obsolete, right? A bunch of roles are getting obsolete now. How are you seeing these finance roles now evolving?
I think roles have always evolved over a period of time. But the most important part is how people are adapting to it. That's the most important question to answer. I think most of them have spoken about what are the skill sets required to get into the industry and to maybe excel in the industry. I kind of sum it up in 3 things. One is knowledge, which we kind of give it to them through the curriculum that we have developed. Skills, that is also given through the program curriculum. The third is the attitude, which is also very, very important. Developing the right attitude, I think Bhairav very well mentioned about it. How many of us are ready to take that extra mile to get the right things? That's very important. And how well we are able to achieve the goals, be it personal goals, be it organizational goals. But the right attitude to work hard, that's very important. So while I'm talking about this, roles keep evolving. The adaptability is, I think, what takes you to your organizational goals. If I talk about technology, be it in finance or be it in any other domain, technology is basically something which should enable work to be more efficient, to make it more cost efficient, right, and to make life convenient, and so on and so forth. But how we are able to adapt technology to the newer roles that we get, that's the most important part. For example, when we talk about giving assignments, I think Abhishek Sinha sir will also agree with me. Nowadays, ChatGPT is there, so giving assignments has become so very easy. But giving the right prompts, as Bhairav mentioned, that's more important. So that's the intelligent part. What kind of prompt do you give so that you get the right answer and you get a more appropriate answer? So I think that's what we are looking at. And I think the organizations are also looking at, maybe Chincholkar sir and Rajesh Save sir would probably able to give this. It's not just the use of technology, but the right appropriate use of technology. And that's how I think the roles are also evolving. If I talk about decentralized finance, or DeFi, if I call it, it's actually traditional intermediaries who are there, financial intermediaries who are there. It has actually replaced them. But does it mean jobs are not existing? No, jobs are there, but in a different way. So it is evolving, but one has to kind of adapt to the newer roles, is what I feel. And having the right attitude will help people to get appropriately and completely employed. Yeah, so, yeah.
Can I just add something to Dr. Iyer, because and this will add to the flow. So I began my career in 2006, and at that point of time I was in ICICI Lombard and then HDFC Bank. And so what Dr. Iyer is saying, I could see it at that point of time, how the technology was, how it was being used in a financial sector kind of a setup, and how it has changed right now. So if you see just a simple example of a transaction happening in a bank. So when we were there, you had thousands of tellers and cashiers and personal bankers in the branch banking setup, and there would be a huge line in the bank just to deposit money. But if you see today, most of the transactions are happening through UPI. and not just through net banking, etc. UPI has transformed the industry. And if you see the kind of managers that would be required today would be very different from the tellers and from the personal bankers that would be required. Obviously, the managers need to understand the consumers. They also need to be tech savvy to create the kind of codes. Even thinking of ICS or Lombard, the sales used to be direct, personal kind of a touch, and that is how you would sell normally. But today, if you want to make a sale, there should be a pop-up coming on Insta, which a new age kid should be able to click, and then it should make sure that the sale or the transaction happens. Now, understanding consumers at that point of time and understanding consumers today in this kind of a setup has changed a lot. This is where the techno managers we are talking about, the kind of role that MBA tech students can play is immensely valuable. And I can fairly say there's the old quote, no one can stop an idea whose time has come. Techno managers is an idea whose time has absolutely come, and they have become an absolute relevance. They have taken relevance in the society, and no one can change that.
Just to add to what Sir was saying, a techno manager is not expected to be a subject matter expert. He's supposed to have enough expertise to be able to get things done. At the end of the day, he's a manager. So literacy in that sense of what he's dealing with and how he gets it done. So if I'm to give a metaphor, he doesn't have to know how to play an instrument necessarily, as long as he knows how to conduct an orchestra. So that sums it up, and I think the program, the way it's structured, it's great. Out of everything in my college life, if there's one thing that it's given me, which is a life mantra, it's ho jayega. On a very, very lighter note, you're in your 4th year, you're dealing with 10 subjects, you've got 5 days to clear those 10 subjects, 1 exam in the morning, 1 in the evening. God knows how well prepared we are, but that temperament, that I'll figure it out. And you put your brains to it and you do actually figure it out. That's the greatest takeaway.
That's the real managerial skills where we pick up.
Over to you, Dr. A, to wrap it up.
So, to my audience, this is the right moment to register for the MBA Tech NMIMS CET. The CET registrations are open till 26th May. And we want you to be a part of this MBA Tech curriculum and witness and also absorb what the curriculum is here for. We have curated in such a way that you don't just excel in the technological skills. We have AI, ML, and data science, but we also teach you the application part of these technology in business domain areas. So come and be a part of this magical journey of MBA Tech. Thank you.